in Sweeney Todd is I'm the scenic designer. So for my process, I start in the beginning with Leslie Tremper, and she talks to me about concepts. I read the script, and I do probably 2 to 3 weeks of research. So I research the time period, I research how people are living, architecture, all the things that are going on in that time period. So for Sweeney Todd, I looked like 1840 to 1860 to understand what was going on. So I do that process, then I come up with some ideas and renderings along with Leslie's concept, finalize those, work with Derek, and kind of make that happen. So I try to help visualize a set that tells a story in a way that Leslie and Derek think works for the script.
I've never done Sweeney Todd before. I've actually never seen it.
And I've never done Sweeney Todd, and I've seen clips of it because I had friends show the Angela Lansbury version, so that's what I know. I'm not a big fan of doing what's been done before, and if there's a way that we can do something more interesting or different, we try to do that. So for this show, we have the cube. One side is sort of solid, it has some doors we'll use, but the other sides are open, so when the person goes down the chair, you'll see them. And I rode the chair today. So I took a ride.
It was frightening.
I took a ride in the chair and went down the ramp. There's some things to figure out still, because when you're drawing and it's this big on a piece of paper, then for it to be made, you can guess and be smart and reference what you've done in the past, but sometimes there's some other challenges that come up. So we have some things to think about. One thing that's important for me is when I'm designing a show is scale for audience and scale for performer. So I try to design for the actor as well, because it's easy for me to make a design and have it not be that interesting and not work for the performer, and you're going to see that in the audience. For this show, Leslie said to me one thing that was interesting. She goes, I want it to look like the set can just disappear. And so to that end, there are some, I call them drawbridges, for lack of a better term. You won't see them when you come into the theater, but they stick out a little bit, and all of a sudden they extend out. One extends out 8 foot, 10 foot, and then it goes away. And that really changes the sense of the space and how you perceive it. A challenge for Theater Cedar Rapids is the stage is just wide, and it's very shallow, and we have no wing space. So when you're talking about scale, you have to be really careful. It's not just what you're seeing on stage. If there's a lot of stuff that goes off stage, you have to think about the scale backstage too. So I'm always 80% confident in scale until I see all the needs for costume changes and all those things. So I wish I were more confident.
For this show, we're going to use a lot of different textures, and texture is a lot of what I work with. Sometimes it's faux texture, we'll be working with some brick, and sometimes it's just texture, and you don't know how to describe it. A brick looks a certain way, but you can't, it's a nubby texture, but I don't know, so it depends on the style of the show, and every show is different, and so each show I approach in a different way. This show is going to be... Dank was
the word.
The
was
word.
dank.
Yeah, a little wet, a little bit nasty, a little... Dirty, well-worn.
Yeah. When Leslie was talking about the show, she said she wanted people to really have a visceral reaction to it. So that influenced our color palette. Our color palette's really neutral in terms of what we're doing, so that when color is introduced, it's either it's warm, it's horrifying, it's all those things. So we're trying to neutralize the palette that we're using so that when the actors have an experience with something, it really emphasizes that for them. I'm not sure how Cedar Rapids is, I don't know how Cedar Rapids is going to respond to this. I have done some shows at Theater Cedar Rapids, and I'm always surprised what the audience brings to a show. My mom is coming to the show, and when I told her what it was about, she kind of giggled and then got a little nervous. So I don't know. My mom's my indicator.
It's going to be great, messy fun.
I think I'm excited about it. There's lots of moving parts. That's exciting, and that's also, again, that's my 80% confidence, because there's so many moving parts, and Sweeney Todd is a show that doesn't stop.
that comes up with design drawings, which then I take and make practical, make them safe, engineer them, and do my own drafting, and then we go from there and build from that. I basically use a program called AutoCAD, which is really for like architectural and higher level stuff, but comes in really handy for theater. And that's where I draw all of the build drawings. All the design drawings come to me as hand sketches. So I take those, translate them into something that's on the computer. My background is theater, not engineering, so I don't get into calculations and stuff like that. It's a lot of experience with materials and how they work. I usually design things a lot safer than they probably need to be, because they take a lot of abuse on stage. So yeah, I mean, we're using a lot of steel construction for this show, which is not uncommon for theater, but just it's a whole different game. Well, it's myself as the technical director, Scott Humiston, who's the assistant technical director. We're basically a lot of the construction, and then we will have work nights where volunteers will come in. It kind of, a lot of times it depends on skill level. Unfortunately on this show there's a lot of, like I said, steel work, which is sort of, it takes a high level of skill to deal with welding and cutting and drilling. Just kind of if they've come in before, and depending on what I've seen them do and what they say they can do, that's kind of how I decide. I'd say we've taken a really distinct look to it. It's not sort of enclosed, it's all open sides except for one side. So our trap door, actually the bodies, you'll see them fall as opposed to being hidden, just falling through a hole in the floor. So we're taking some liberties with that. A lot of it's going to be very modular. And it's the same pieces will be able to turn around and be different shapes, and all our pieces are being multi-tasked. It is, especially this one where it's not a cube that's enclosed. So the person actually for this one has to fall 7 feet above the stage floor, down a chute, into a hole in our regular stage floor, into our trap room. So in all total, it's almost like a 15 to 17 foot drop. You go down a chute for most of it, about 10 feet of it, and then the last of it you go off onto like a crash pad in foam and stuff. Every show brings its own challenges. I wouldn't say it's the most challenging. It's hard to ever say, one show is more challenging than another. It's just every show has its challenges. It's going to be cool.